When you're building a business, one of your first big decisions is your website. And, that decision might be where things start to go wrong. What if we've been thinking about websites all wrong? Not as a simple purchase, like an online brochure, but as a core strategic asset that will literally shape our company's future. Let's dive into why this shift in perspective is so critical.
So, you're at a fork in the road. On the surface, it just looks like a choice between two price tags. But the decision you make right here, it's going to have some serious ripple effects. Is that initial saving today going to end up costing you a fortune tomorrow? Are you actually building a solid foundation, or are you kind of programming failure into your business from day one? Let's break down what's really at stake.
All right, let's start with the most immediate thing, first impressions. We're talking about your visual identity. In this super crowded digital world, a potential customer makes a split-second decision. Are you worth their time, or are you just more noise in the crowd?
And the difference in approach here is, well, it's night and day. A cheap design? It usually starts with some generic off-the-shelf template. It has no real connection to your unique brand. And honestly, it can make even the best services feel kind of cheap. A professional design, on the other hand, is a custom build. It's crafted to create an immediate emotional connection with the exact people you're trying to reach.
This really gets to the heart of it. Professional design isn't just about making things look beautiful. It's a strategic tool. It's how you communicate your value, build trust, and show your personality before a visitor has even read a single word. It's how you get inside your customer's head.
Okay, so you've made a good first impression. Awesome. But now comes the next big test, the user's journey. What happens after they land on your site? Do they stick around and explore, or do they hit that back button in like 3 seconds? So often, it all comes down to one simple thing, speed.
So why is one site a snail and another one a rocket? Well, a cheap site is often like a car that's just overloaded with junk. Heavy plugins and clunky codes slow it way down, especially on mobile. And the result is a totally frustrating experience. A professional site is built differently. We're talking clean, efficient code and a smart architecture. Think of it more like a finely tuned sports car. These aren't just little technical details. They are the difference between a visitor staying or leaving for good.
And here's the brutal reality of that choice. 70%. Let that sink in for a second. That's how many potential customers you can lose if your site takes just a few extra seconds to load. They never see your product. They never get to know you. They're just gone.
But speed is really just the beginning of that user's journey. A cheap user experience, or UX, is just confusing. The path forward is unclear, the buttons are weak, and the whole thing feels disconnected. A professional UX is the total opposite. It's intentional. Every single element is designed to guide the user's attention, making it super easy for them to take the next step. And what does that do? It increases your conversion rates. You have to remember this. When a user gets confused, they don't try harder to figure it out. They just leave. If you don't give them a clear, intuitive path to follow, you've lost the sale before they even knew you had something to offer them.
Okay, so we've covered what the user sees and experiences on the surface. But what about all the stuff they don't see? The unseen foundation of your website is just as critical. And this is where we find two of the biggest, most dangerous traps of cheap design: security and SEO.
And this is a really serious one. Cheap sites often use what are called nulled plugins, which is just a fancy word for pirated or stolen software. This unsupported code leaves huge security holes, making the site incredibly vulnerable to being hacked. And this isn't just some tech problem, it's a massive business risk. We're talking data loss and catastrophic damage to your brand's reputation. Professional sites, on the other hand, use official, trusted tools and are built to be secure from day one, with continuous updates to protect against new threats.
I really want to hammer this point home because it's so important. Security is not an optional extra. It's not something you can just bolt on later. If it's not baked into the core foundation of your website from the very beginning, you will always be exposed.
Now for the other invisible giant, SEO, search engine optimization. To put it simply, a cheap site is often built in a way that Google just can't understand. Its structure is a mess, its speed is low, and the result is that Google essentially ignores it. A professional site is built from the ground up to speak Google's language. It's designed for organic growth, not just to be a forgotten page on the internet.
Let's look ahead for a minute. Your business isn't going to stay the same. You're going to grow. The question is, will your website be a launchpad for that growth? Or is it going to become a dead end that actually holds you back?
So here's where that cheap option starts to get very expensive. On a cheaply built site, every little change costs you more money.
It has permanent technical limits, and eventually the only way forward is to scrap the whole thing and start over with a full redesign. Ouch. A professionally built site is the opposite. It has a flexible infrastructure, ready for you to add new features without breaking the entire structure. And this right here, this is the core strategic shift. It's about stopping to see your website as just a cost to be minimized and starting to see it as a long-term asset that actively generates value and drives the growth of your business.
This also extends to the relationship you have with your developer. With a cheap site, that relationship usually ends the second the site is delivered. You're left all alone to deal with problems. With a professional team, it's a true partnership. They provide ongoing support, they monitor performance, and they even help you optimize the site based on how real users are behaving. That is a massive difference.
So, after looking at all these different pieces, the visuals, the user experience, the security, the scalability, let's bring it all together. Let's calculate the final tally. What is the true cost of choosing cheap? A cheap website simply cannot achieve the core goals of a business. It fails to build a real brand. It fails to create sustainable growth. It fails to gain the trust of your customers. And ultimately, it fails to let you truly compete in your market.
A professional site, on the other hand, does the exact opposite. It actively reduces your business risk from things like security breaches, it accelerates your growth, it increases the value of your brand, and most importantly, it generates sales. At the end of the day, the choice between cheap and professional web design isn't a small one. It's not just some minor technical decision or a line on a budget. It's a choice that sets the entire trajectory of your business. It really is a difference in destiny.
And that brings us to the final question, the one you need to ask yourself. Is your website just another expense that's secretly holding you back? Or is it a powerful strategic asset that is actively building your future day in and day out? The choice is yours.